She cooked Thanksgiving dinner for 18 people. Then she overheard what her daughter-in-law called her the smell of roasted turkey, cinnamon, butter, and sage filled every corner of the house. For 3 straight days, Martha Whittaker had barely sat down. At 68 years old, her knees ached constantly, especially in November cold, but she ignored the pain the way she ignored most things these days. Quietly, without complaint. Because Thanksgiving mattered. Family mattered. And ever since her husband Walter passed away 6 years earlier, Martha had held onto traditions like they were life preservers in rough water. Every year, her son Daniel insisted everyone gather at his house because it was larger, newer, and better for hosting. But everyone knew the truth. Martha still did all the work. She planned the menu, she bought the groceries, she prepared the pies from scratch, and she cooked enough food to feed an army. This year would be 18 people. 18. Her daughter-in-law, Veronica, had smiled brightly while handing Martha a printed guest list 3 weeks earlier. "We're so excited," Veronica had said cheerfully. "Everyone loves your cooking," Martha smiled politely. Of course they did. No one ever volunteered to help. By Tuesday morning, Martha was already exhausted. She stood in Daniel's kitchen peeling potatoes, while Veronica sat at the marble island scrolling through her phone. "You okay over there?" Veronica asked without looking up. "Oh, I'm fine," Martha replied softly. "You don't have to overdo it." But the words felt empty when Veronica made no move to stand up. Martha continued peeling. On Wednesday evening, the first guests arrived. Grandchildren ran through the house screaming and laughing. Football blasted from the living room television. Relatives filled wine glasses and complimented the smell coming from the kitchen. "Oh my goodness, Martha," Daniel's cousin Linda said. "You've outdone yourself again." Martha smiled tiredly. "Thank you, dear." But while everyone else laughed and relaxed, Martha remained working, basting the turkey, heating rolls, preparing gravy, washing dishes before they piled too high. She noticed Daniel only came into the kitchen when he needed something. "Mom, where's the corkscrew? Mom, do we have extra ice? Mom, can you warm this up?" Never, "Mom, sit down." Never, "Mom, let me help." Still, she said nothing. Because mothers kept families together, that's what she believed. By Thanksgiving afternoon, the dining table looked beautiful. Golden turkey, creamy mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, sweet potato pie, cranberry sauce, homemade stuffing, everything perfectly arranged under soft candlelight. The family gathered around admiring the meal. Phones appeared instantly for pictures. Veronica grinned proudly. "This turned out amazing." Martha stood quietly near the kitchen doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. No one noticed she still hadn't sat down all day. Dinner began loudly. Forks clinked. Children argued. Adults talked over one another. Everyone praised the food. "Martha, this turkey is incredible. These pies are unbelievable. You should open a restaurant." She smiled and thanked them politely. But halfway through dinner, Martha realized the cranberry sauce was still in the kitchen refrigerator. "I'll go grab it," she said softly. No one heard her, or if they did, no one cared. In the kitchen, Martha opened the refrigerator carefully, enjoying the sudden quiet away from the noise. Then she heard laughter from the dining room. Veronica's voice floated clearly through the doorway. "I swear," Veronica laughed, "having Martha here for Thanksgiving is like having live-in staff." More laughter followed. Another voice chimed in. "Well, she does everything." Veronica laughed again. "I mean, I haven't lifted a finger in 3 days." The table erupted with amused chuckles. Martha froze. One hand still resting on the refrigerator door. For a moment, she genuinely thought she might have misheard. Live-in staff, not mother, not grandmother, not family. Staff. Heat crawled slowly into her face. Then came something worse than anger. Humiliation. And what hurt most wasn't Veronica's comment. It was Daniel, her own son. He didn't defend her. Didn't correct the joke. Didn't say, "Mom wanted to help." Didn't say, "She's family." He laughed, just laughed quietly along with everyone else. Something inside Martha shifted, not loudly. not dramatically, like a tiny thread snapping silently deep inside her chest. She stood there for several seconds staring at the cranberry sauce in her trembling hands. Then she took a slow breath, smoothed her sweater, and walked back into the dining room with a calm smile on her face. "Found it," she said gently. No one noticed her red eyes. The evening continued normally. At least for everyone else. Dessert was served, coffee poured, stories shared. Children fell asleep on couches. Around 10 o'clock, Veronica finally stretched dramatically and announced, "I'm exhausted." Martha almost laughed. Instead, she quietly began washing dishes alone. Again. Daniel eventually wandered into the kitchen. "Mom, you don't have to do that tonight." Martha kept scrubbing a plate. "It's all right. You sure?" "Yes." Daniel nodded absently before walking away. No hug, no gratitude, no awareness whatsoever. By midnight, the house had gone quiet. Most relatives had left. A few stayed overnight in guest rooms. Martha stood alone in the kitchen staring at the mountain of leftovers. Then slowly, carefully, she began packing everything. Turkey, stuffing, pies, rolls, mashed potatoes, everything. She wrapped each container neatly and placed them into coolers she'd brought from home. Around 1 in the morning, she quietly carried them to her car. Trip after trip. No one saw her. At 2:30, Martha sat briefly at the kitchen table. The same table where everyone had laughed. The same table where she had become staff. Her eyes drifted toward a framed family photo hanging nearby. Walter would have noticed. Her husband had always noticed. The thought nearly broke her heart. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small, folded note. Then she placed it carefully in the center of the dining table. After that, Martha picked up her coat, turned off the kitchen lights, and left. The next morning began with confusion. Veronica walked sleepily into the kitchen wearing silk pajamas and stopped abruptly. "What the?" The counters were spotless, the refrigerator nearly empty, and the Thanksgiving leftovers were gone. All of them. She opened cabinets, checked coolers, nothing. Daniel entered moments later. "What's wrong?" "The food is gone." "What?" "All the leftovers." Daniel frowned. "That's weird." Then he noticed the folded note sitting on the dining table. He picked it up. The handwriting was unmistakable. "Daniel, since I seem to be live-in staff, I figured I should stop providing free catering services. The leftovers have gone to people who truly appreciated them. I won't be hosting Christmas this year." Love, Mom's silence filled the room. Veronica's face drained of color. "She heard that." Daniel read the note again slowly, then again. His stomach twisted painfully. For the first time since childhood, he felt deeply ashamed. Not because his mother left, because she had every reason to. Meanwhile, across town, Martha sat inside the small community center near her church. Steam rose from aluminum trays filled with Thanksgiving food. Around her, volunteers distributed meals to elderly residents, single mothers, and homeless veterans. "Ms. Whitaker," one volunteer said warmly, "this food is amazing." Martha smiled softly. "Thank you." An elderly man near the corner lifted a forkful of turkey and sighed happily. "Best Thanksgiving meal I've had in years." Martha's eyes watered unexpectedly, not from sadness this time, but relief, because for the first time in a very long while, she felt appreciated. Back at Daniel's house, tension spread quickly. Relatives texted each other screenshots of Martha's note. Some were horrified. Others quietly admitted Martha had always been taken for granted. Even Daniel's sister Claire finally said what no one else would. "You let Mom do everything every year." Daniel rubbed his forehead. "That's not fair." "No," Claire replied sharply. "What's unfair is a 68-year-old woman cooking for 18 people while everyone else drinks wine." Veronica crossed her arms defensively. "It was just a joke." Claire stared at her coldly. "A joke is only funny when nobody gets humiliated." Veronica said nothing after that, because deep down, she knew Claire was right. For 2 weeks, Martha heard almost nothing from Daniel. One short text arrived 3 days later. "I'm sorry, Mom," but Martha didn't answer immediately. Not because she wanted revenge, because she was tired. Tired of always being needed only for what she provided. Then one snowy December afternoon, her doorbell rang. Martha opened the door carefully. Daniel stood outside holding grocery bags, alone. No Veronica, no children, just him. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I failed you." Martha's expression softened slightly. "Danny, no," he interrupted shakily. "I did. I let you work yourself to exhaustion every year, and I never even noticed." Martha looked down quietly. "You laughed." The words hit him hard. "I know." Snow drifted silently around them. Daniel swallowed painfully. "I don't expect you to forgive me right away." He lifted the grocery bags awkwardly. "But I thought maybe, for once, I could cook for you." Martha stared at him in surprise. "You cook?" A weak smile appeared on Daniel's face. "Probably terribly." For the first time in weeks, Martha laughed softly, and hearing that laugh nearly made Daniel cry again. Inside the house, Daniel struggled miserably through a simple chicken soup recipe while Martha watched from the kitchen table trying not to smile. "You're cutting the carrots too thick," she said. "I'm trying. You're attacking them. They're resisting." Another laugh escaped her, a real one this time, not polite, not forced, real. And slowly, carefully, something broken between them began mending. Not perfectly, not instantly, but honestly. Christmas that year looked very different, smaller, quieter. And for the first time in decades, Martha didn't cook the entire meal alone. Everyone brought something. Daniel handled the turkey himself. Veronica arrived carrying homemade pies that were slightly burned around the edges. She looked nervous standing in Martha's doorway. "Martha," she began softly, "I owe you an apology." Martha remained silent. Veronica's eyes glistened. "What I said was cruel and disrespectful." "You didn't deserve that." "No," Martha replied gently. "I didn't." Veronica nodded painfully. "I know." For a long moment, neither moved. Then Martha stepped aside. "Come in before the food gets cold." It wasn't perfect forgiveness, but it was a beginning. Later that evening, Martha sat at the dining table surrounded by family once more. Only this time was different. Daniel stood to clear plates before she could rise. Veronica helped wash dishes. The grandchildren hugged her tightly before dessert. And when Martha finally sat down with a cup of coffee, no one asked her to get up again. For the first time in years, she wasn't the help. She was simply family. And somehow, that made the house feel warmer than any Thanksgiving ever had.